The Valorian Science Collective had been searching for new worlds for over 300 years. Their home planet, Valora Prime, was running out of space. The population needed new places to live, new resources to harvest, new opportunities to grow. The scientists worked day and night, scanning the galaxy for planets that could support life. Senior researcher Xylith stood in the control room of the gate facility. The massive machine hummed with power, its crystalline structures glowing with blue light. This was their newest technology, something that could open doorways across space itself. No need for slow ships or dangerous travel. Just open a gate and step through. The sensors showed a promising signal, a planet with oxygen, water, and a stable orbit around a yellow star. The computers labeled it Target 447. Everything looked perfect. The atmosphere was breathable. The temperature was moderate. The scans showed forests, mountains, and oceans. It seemed like a paradise waiting to be discovered. Xylith gave the order. The technicians activated the gate sequence. Energy crackled and swirled in the circular frame. Reality bent and twisted until a shimmering portal hung in the air. Through it, they could see blue sky and green trees. Mountains rose in the distance. It was beautiful. Jake Morrison was having a good day. The weather in the Colorado Rockies was perfect for hiking. Clear skies, warm sun, and a gentle breeze. He had taken a week off from his job as a park ranger to explore some of the more remote trails. His backpack held everything he needed: food, water, camping gear, and his sidearm. The gun was standard equipment. Black bears and mountain lions lived in these woods, and while they usually avoided people, it paid to be careful. He was walking along a ridge trail when the air in front of him suddenly tore open. Jake stopped dead in his tracks. His training kicked in immediately. He did not panic. He did not run. He simply stood still and observed. The portal looked like a vertical pool of liquid silver. It rippled and pulsed with energy. Then something stepped through it. Jake felt his heart rate increase, but he kept his breathing steady. The creature was tall, maybe 7 feet. Its body was thin and delicate, with long limbs that seemed almost fragile. The skin was translucent, glowing with a faint blue light. 4 eyes blinked in sequence, 2 on each side of an elongated head. It wore something that looked like a uniform, made from material that shimmered like oil on water. For a moment, both beings just stared at each other. Xylith could not believe what they were seeing. An alien, a native species, standing right there. The creature was bipedal, with 2 arms and 2 legs. It had strange fur on top of its head, brown in color. The face had 2 forward-facing eyes, a nose, and a mouth. The body was covered in artificial materials, clearly some kind of clothing. The creature was carrying equipment on its back and something at its hip that looked vaguely like a tool. The Valorian protocols for first contact were clear. Show no aggression. Demonstrate peaceful intent. Attempt communication. Jake slowly raised his right hand, palm forward, in what he hoped was a universal gesture of greeting. His left hand stayed relaxed at his side, nowhere near his weapon. "Hello," he said calmly. "I come in peace." The alien tilted its head, clearly not understanding the words. But the tone seemed to register. Xylith reached into a pouch and pulled out a small device. They held it up, showing it to the human, then pointed to their own head. Jake nodded slowly. A translation device. Made sense. He stood still as the alien approached cautiously. Xylith moved with slow, deliberate steps, clearly trying not to startle the native creature. When they got close enough, they held out the device. Jake took it carefully. It was smooth and warm, about the size of a coin. Following the alien's gestures, he placed it behind his ear. It stuck to his skin with a gentle magnetic pull. "Can you understand me now?" Xylith asked. Their voice came through the translator as a soft, melodious sound. "Yes," Jake replied. "I can understand you. My name is Jake Morrison. I am a human from the planet Earth." I am Xylith, senior researcher of the Valorian Science Collective. We have opened a gateway to your world in search of new planets to study and potentially colonize. Jake nodded slowly. This was way above his pay grade, but he was the one standing here. Might as well make the best of it. Well, Xylith, welcome to Earth. I should probably let you know that you will want to contact our governments. I am just a park ranger. I protect the wilderness areas and help lost hikers. Park ranger? Xylith asked. What is that? I work for the government. My job is to patrol this area, make sure people follow the rules, and keep them safe from the wildlife. Safe from wildlife? Xylith's translator conveyed confusion. The animals here are dangerous? Jake shrugged. Some of them. We have bears, mountain lions, wolves. They usually avoid people, but you need to be careful. Xylith felt a chill run through their body. Dangerous animals, predators, on a habitable planet. This was unusual. On Valora Prime, the largest animals were small herbivores. Nothing that could threaten a person. These bears, Xylith said carefully. How large are they? Depends on the type. A black bear might be around 300 pounds. A grizzly can get up to 800 pounds or more. Xylith did a quick mental conversion. 800 pounds. That was heavier than most Valorians, and it was a predator. And they eat meat? Yeah, they are omnivores. They eat plants, fish, smaller animals, pretty much whatever they can find. And you walk through their territory alone? Xylith asked, genuinely confused. Jake patted the pistol at his hip. I have protection, and like I said, they usually avoid people. We are not their normal prey. The word prey sent another chill through Xylith. This human spoke of predator and prey relationships as if they were normal, casual, just part of daily life. I think I need to contact my superiors, Xylith said. This is a significant discovery. Would you be willing to wait here while I bring more researchers? Sure, Jake said. I have time. But you should know that my government will want to be involved. First contact with aliens is kind of a big deal. Your government has protocols for this? We have protocols for everything, Jake said with a slight smile. We are humans. We like to plan ahead. Over the next hour, more Valorians came through the gate. Each one reacted with surprise when they saw Jake standing there calmly. They set up equipment, took readings, and asked questions. Jake answered as best he could, explaining what Earth was like, what humans needed to survive, how their civilization worked. But with every answer, the Valorians seemed to become more disturbed. When Jake mentioned that Earth's atmosphere was 21% oxygen, they gasped. When he explained that humans could survive in climates ranging from frozen tundra to scorching deserts, they exchanged worried looks. When he casually mentioned that humans ate both plants and animals, several of them stepped back. By the time government helicopters arrived, bringing scientists and military person Dr. Helen Carter arrived at the gate facility 3 days after first contact. The United States government had moved quickly, building a secure perimeter around the portal site in Colorado. Military personnel guarded the area, while scientists prepared for formal diplomatic relations with the Valorian collective. Helen was a biologist, specializing in Earth's ecosystems. She had been chosen to present information about the planet to the aliens. Her job was simple: help them understand what Earth was like. She thought it would be easy. After all, Earth was just Earth. Nothing special about it from a human perspective. She had no idea what she was walking into. The Valorians had built a small research station on their side of the gate. Helen stepped through the portal, feeling a brief moment of disorientation as reality bent around her. Then she was standing in a white room filled with alien equipment. Screens displayed data in languages she could not read. Instruments hummed and beeped. Xylith greeted her. The senior researcher had been designated as the primary contact for human interactions. Over the past few days, Xylith had learned much about humanity. None of it had been comforting. "Dr. Carter, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to this presentation." Helen smiled warmly. "Happy to help. I brought lots of information about Earth's biology and ecosystems. I think you will find it fascinating." Fascinating was not the word Xylith would have chosen. Terrifying seemed more accurate. But they kept their thoughts to themselves. Helen set up her laptop and projector. The Valorians had provided compatible technology, which impressed her. They might look fragile, but they were clearly brilliant engineers. She began with the basics. Earth formed approximately 4.5 billion years ago. It is the third planet from our sun, which we call Sol. Our orbit keeps us in what we call the habitable zone, where liquid water can exist. So far, so normal. The Valorians nodded along, taking notes. Our atmosphere is composed of 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen, with trace amounts of other gases. Xylith interrupted immediately. 21% oxygen! That still disturbs us. On Valora Prime, our oxygen levels are at 9%. 21% is dangerously high. How do you not have constant fires? Helen blinked. Well, we do have fires. Lightning strikes cause wildfires all the time. In some ecosystems, fire is actually necessary for plant reproduction. Certain seeds need the heat from fire to germinate. The Valorians exchanged looks. Their translators could not fully convey the emotion, but Helen got the sense they were horrified. "Fire is necessary?" asked one of the junior researchers. "In some places, yes. Prairies, certain forests, grasslands. Fire clears dead material and returns nutrients to the soil. It is part of the natural cycle." Helen moved on, not noticing the growing distress in the room. She pulled up images of Earth's biomes: rainforests, deserts, tundra, oceans, mountains. Earth has incredible diversity. We have ecosystems adapted to almost every condition imaginable. From the frozen Arctic to the scorching Sahara Desert. "Scorching?" Xylith asked. "How hot?" "The hottest temperature ever recorded was about 134 degrees Fahrenheit. That is about 57 degrees Celsius. One of the Valorians made a sound that the translator rendered as distress. Their species could not survive above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. 57 Celsius would kill them in minutes. "And the coldest?" Xylith asked, dreading the answer. "Minus 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 89.2 Celsius. That was in Antarctica." The Valorians were silent. They were trying to process the idea of a planet where temperatures could vary by over 250 degrees. On their homeworld, the temperature rarely changed by more than 30 degrees throughout the entire year. But Helen was just getting started. She pulled up a slideshow of Earth's animals. She started with what she thought were the gentle ones: elephants, deer, rabbits, birds. Even these caused concern. "This elephant," Xylith said, "it weighs how much?" "An adult African elephant can weigh up to 14,000 pounds. The Valorians actually stepped back from the screen. 14,000 pounds. That was heavier than their spacecraft. "And this creature lives on land? It walks around freely?" "Yes, in herds. They are actually quite intelligent and social." Helen clicked to the next image. A lion. She thought the Valorians might appreciate seeing a majestic animal. Instead, they recoiled in horror. The lion was mid-roar, showing its teeth. Long, sharp teeth designed for tearing flesh. "This is a predator," Xylith said. It was not a question. "Yes, the lion is a carnivore. It hunts other animals for food. It kills other living creatures? Well, yes. That is how carnivores eat." Helen was starting to realize that the Valorians had a very different relationship with nature than humans did. She pulled up her notes on their homeworld. It took her a moment to find the relevant section, but when she did, everything made sense. Valora Prime had no large predators. The biggest carnivores were small scavengers about the size of earth mice. Most animals were herbivores, eating plants and living in peaceful coexistence. Violence between animals was virtually unknown. Earth, by comparison, was a war zone. Helen decided to be honest. If they were going to work together, the Valorians needed to understand what Earth was really like. She pulled up footage from a nature documentary. A crocodile hunting in a river. The massive reptile exploded from the water, jaws snapping shut on a wildebeest. The Valorians watched in frozen horror as the crocodile dragged its prey underwater. "This is normal on your planet?" Xylith asked quietly. "It is nature," Helen said. "Predators hunt prey. Prey try to avoid predators. It is the balance of the ecosystem." She showed them more. Sharks swimming through the ocean. Wolves hunting in packs. Eagles diving from the sky to catch rabbits. Snakes swallowing rats whole. Spiders wrapping up insects in webs. With each image, the Valorians seemed to shrink into themselves. Their blue glow dimmed. Their 4 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of stress. Then Helen made a mistake. She showed them a video of a great white shark breaching the water, catching a seal in midair. It was an incredible display of power and hunting skill. The shark's teeth were clearly visible, hundreds of them, designed for gripping and tearing. One of the Valorian researchers fainted. They simply collapsed, their legs giving out. 2 others rushed to help them. "I am sorry," Helen said, genuinely concerned. "I did not mean to cause distress. Should I stop?" Xylith held up a hand. "No. We need to understand. Please continue." Helen took a breath and moved on to a new section. Plants. Surely plants would be safer. She showed them Venus flytraps, plants that caught and digested insects, pitcher plants that drowned their prey in digestive fluids, strangler figs that wrapped around trees and slowly killed them. "Your plants are also predators?" Xylith asked weakly. "Some of them. Most plants just photosynthesize using sunlight for energy. But some have evolved to supplement their diet with insects or other small creatures." Helen showed them the redwood forests of California. Trees that grew over 300 feet tall and lived for thousands of years. The Valorians seemed slightly relieved until Helen mentioned that these trees had bark thick enough to withstand fire. "Fire again," Xylith noted. "Everything on your world seems adapted to survive fire. Or ice, or drought, or floods or storms," Helen said. "Earth has a lot of natural disasters. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions. Life has to be tough to survive here." She pulled up a map showing Earth's tectonic plates. "Our planet's crust is broken into pieces that slowly move and grind against each other. This causes earthquakes and creates volcanoes." "Your planet is geologically unstable?" Xylith asked. "Well, yes, but that is normal for a living planet. The tectonic activity is part of what keeps Earth habitable. It recycles carbon and maintains our magnetic field." The Valorians did not look reassured. Their home world was geologically dead, stable, and safe. No earthquakes, no volcanoes, just peaceful, predictable ground beneath their feet. Helen spent the next hour going through more details. She explained weather patterns, showing them footage of thunderstorms, blizzards, and hurricanes. She described the water cycle, the carbon cycle, and the nitrogen cycle. She talked about extinction events, ice ages, and climate change. By the end of her presentation, the Valorians sat in stunned silence. Finally, Xylith spoke. "Dr. Carter, I must ask you something. You describe all of these dangers, all of these threats, as if they are normal, as if they are acceptable. How do humans survive on this world?" Helen thought about it. "We adapt. We learn. We build shelters to protect us from storms. We create tools to help us hunt and gather food. We work together in groups for safety and efficiency. Humans are very good at solving problems." "You must be," Xylith said quietly, "because your planet is trying to kill you every single day." Helen laughed. thinking it was a joke. But when she saw the serious expressions on the Valorian faces, she realized they meant it literally. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Grant had been a Navy SEAL for 8 years before being transferred to the Alien Contact Program. She was tough, competent, and completely unprepared for the reaction she would get from the Valorians. The request had been simple. The aliens wanted to understand human physical capabilities. They wanted to measure strength, speed, endurance, and reflexes using their standard testing protocols. Lisa had volunteered immediately. She was in peak physical condition and proud of her abilities. The testing facility was set up in a large hangar near the gate. Both human and Valorian scientists were present, along with military observers from both sides. Lisa wore her standard PT uniform, shorts, t-shirt, and running shoes. When she walked into the room, several Valorians actually backed away. Xylith approached her carefully. "Lieutenant Commander Grant, thank you for participating. We will conduct a series of tests to measure your physical abilities. Are you ready to begin?" "Ready when you are," Lisa said with a confident smile. The first test was simple: lifting. The Valorians had brought a device that measured force. Lisa would grip the handles and lift as hard as she could. She approached the device and grabbed the handles. They felt light in her hands. She pulled upward, engaging her legs, back, and arms. The machine beeped. Xylith checked the reading and went very still. "You can lift 340 pounds?" Lisa shrugged. "That is pretty average for someone my size and training level. Some humans can lift much more. The world record for deadlift is over 1,000 pounds. The Valorians exchanged looks. The average Valorian could lift maybe 30 pounds. Lisa was more than 10 times stronger, and she said she was average. The second test was grip strength. Lisa squeezed a device as hard as she could. The reading showed 120 pounds of force. "Your hands can crush with this much pressure?" asked one of the researchers. "I guess so," Lisa said. "Never really thought about it." Xylith made notes on their tablet. "On Valora Prime, our strongest individuals can generate about 15 pounds of grip force. You are 8 times stronger." Next came push-ups. Lisa dropped to the floor and started. 1, 2, 5, 10, 20. She kept going. At 50, the Valorians started murmuring among themselves. At 75, some of them looked genuinely distressed. Lisa stopped at 100. "Want me to keep going?" "No," Xylith said quickly. "That is sufficient." Pull-ups were next. Lisa jumped up to the bar and started pulling herself up. Her movements were smooth and controlled. She did 30 before dropping back to the ground. The Valorians had stopped taking notes. They were just staring now. "How is this possible?" Xylith asked. "You are lifting your entire body weight repeatedly. That should be exhausting." "It is a good workout," Lisa admitted, "but nothing extreme. Most soldiers can do this." "Most soldiers," Xylith repeated. "You train your entire military to this level?" "Higher, actually. These are just basic fitness requirements." The endurance test came next, a 3-mile run. The Valorians had set up a track with sensors to measure Lisa's speed and heart rate. Lisa started at a comfortable pace, 8-minute miles. Easy. She focused on her breathing and let her body find its rhythm. Her feet hit the ground in a steady pattern, left, right, left, right. The Valorians watched from the sidelines. They saw how her body moved. Efficient. Designed for this. Her legs were strong, propelling her forward with each stride. Her lungs pulled in air rich with oxygen. Her heart pumped blood to her muscles, keeping them fueled. She finished the 3 miles in 24 minutes. When she stopped, she was breathing hard but not exhausted. "You can sustain that pace for extended periods?" Xylith asked. "Sure. I have run marathons before. That is 26 miles. Takes me about 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours of continuous running? Yeah, some people can do it faster. The world record is just over 2 hours. Xylith felt something close to fear. You are pursuit predators. Lisa tilted her head. What? On your world, humans evolved to chase prey over long distances. You can run for hours, tracking animals until they collapse from exhaustion. Then you kill them. Lisa frowned. I mean, yeah, early humans did persistence hunting, but that was thousands of years ago. We do not hunt like that anymore. But you could, Xylith said. Your body is still designed for it. You are a predator. The word hung in the air. Predator. Lisa decided to be honest. Look, humans are omnivores. We eat both plants and meat. Yes, we evolved to hunt. But we also evolved to cooperate, to build communities, to create art and music. We are more than just predators. Xylith gestured to Lisa's body. Your eyes face forward. This gives you depth perception for tracking prey. Your teeth include canines for tearing meat. Your body can regulate temperature through sweating, allowing you to run in heat that would kill most species. You have endurance that lets you outlast any prey. These are not the traits of a peaceful species. We are peaceful, Lisa insisted. We choose to be. That is what matters. One of the other Valorian researchers spoke up. You mentioned adrenaline in your earlier reports. What is that? Lisa explained. It is a hormone our bodies produce when we are in danger or stress. It makes us stronger and faster temporarily. Heart rate increases, airways open up, pain tolerance goes up. It is a survival mechanism. Your body has a chemical that makes you more dangerous when threatened? Well, yes. But everyone has stress responses. That is normal. Not like this, Xylith said quietly. We have studied 70 species across our collective. None of them have anything like human adrenaline. You are unique. The final test was reaction time. Lisa sat at a station with lights and buttons. When a light flashed, she had to hit the corresponding button as fast as possible. Her average reaction time was 180 milliseconds. The Valorian average was 400 milliseconds. Lisa was more than twice as fast. You can process threats and respond in less than a fifth of a second? Xylith asked. I guess so. Is that unusual? On Valora Prime, our fastest reactions are still slower than your average. You are built to respond to danger instantly. After the tests were complete, Lisa sat down with Xylith to discuss the results. I need to understand something, Xylith said. You are a soldier. You are trained to fight, but you are also polite, friendly, and controlled. How do you reconcile being a weapon with being a person? Lisa thought carefully about her answer. I am a person first. The training, the physical abilities, those are tools. I use them to protect people, to keep them safe. Yes, I can fight. Yes, I can be dangerous if I need to be. But I choose when to use that. I choose to be peaceful unless there is no other option. Choice, Xylith said. That word keeps coming up with humans. You choose to be peaceful. You choose to show restraint. As if violence is always an option you are actively deciding not to take. I suppose that is true, Lisa admitted. Humans have the capacity for violence, but we also have the capacity for kindness, creativity, love, and compassion. We contain multitudes. Xylith was quiet for a long moment. Do you know what frightens me most about humans? What? It is not your strength. It is not your speed or endurance. It is not even your capacity for violence. Then what is it? It is that you do not see yourself as exceptional. You think you are normal, average. You have no idea how terrifying you are compared to the rest of the galaxy. Lisa felt a chill. She had never thought of herself as scary. She was just a person doing her job. The 70 species in our collective, Xylith continued, are all relatively similar. We have different biology, different cultures, different technologies, but we are all peaceful. We all evolved on stable, safe worlds. We all solved our problems through cooperation and reason. That sounds nice, Lisa said. It is, but it also means we are weak. We have no experience with real danger. We have no natural predators. We have no survival instincts like yours. If we encountered a hostile species, we would have no idea how to defend ourselves. Xylith looked directly at Lisa. But you would. Humans would know exactly what to do, because you evolved on a planet that was trying to kill you every single day. You learned to fight, to survive, to overcome impossible odds. That is in your DNA, in your culture, in everything you are. Lisa did not know what to say to that. We opened a gate to your world hoping to find friends, Xylith said. And we did find friends. But we also found something else. We found the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. And that species is being nice to us by choice. We are not that dangerous, Lisa protested. Xylith pulled up the test results on a screen. You can lift 10 times what we can lift. You can run for hours without stopping. You can react twice as fast. You have chemicals in your body that make you even stronger when threatened. You evolved to hunt and kill prey. And you say you are average. Lisa looked at the data. Seeing it laid out like that, she could understand why the Valorians were scared. I think, Xylith said slowly, that the galaxy is about to change. We thought we understood what life was like in the universe. We thought we knew what was possible. Then we met humans. Now we have to rethink everything. We want to be friends, Lisa said. We want to work together. We are not a threat to you. I believe you, Xylith said. That is what makes this even more remarkable. You could be a threat. You have the capability, but you choose not to be. You choose cooperation over conquest, peace over violence. That choice is what gives me hope. Hope for what? Dr. Peter Hayes was a historian from Cambridge University. He had spent his entire career studying human civilization, from ancient cultures to modern societies. When the government asked him to present human history to the Valorians, he agreed immediately. He thought it would be an honor to share the story of humanity with an alien species. He did not expect it to go so badly. The presentation room was full of Valorian researchers. Xylith sat in the front row, their 4 eyes focused intently on Peter. The historian had prepared a comprehensive slideshow covering thousands of years of human development. He started with the beginning. Early humans in Africa, living in small groups, using simple tools. Humans evolved approximately 300,000 years ago, Peter explained. We started in Africa and gradually spread across the entire planet. This migration took tens of thousands of years. So far, the Valorians seemed interested. Migration was normal. Many species spread across their homeworlds. Early humans were hunter-gatherers, Peter continued. We moved from place to place, following food sources. We hunted animals and gathered plants. Xylith raised a hand. You hunted from the very beginning? Yes, humans are omnivores. We have always eaten both plants and meat. The Valorians shifted uncomfortably, but Peter pressed on. About 12,000 years ago, humans developed agriculture. We learned to plant crops and domesticate animals. This was a major turning point in our history. Domesticate? Xylith asked. What does that mean? We took wild animals and plants and selectively bred them to suit our needs. For example, wolves became dogs. Wild grain became wheat. Wild horses became domestic horses that we could ride and use for work. One of the Valorian researchers spoke up. You forcibly changed other species to serve your purposes? Peter paused. He had not expected this reaction. Well, it was a mutual relationship. The animals got food and protection. We got help with hunting, farming, and transportation. But you controlled their reproduction. You decided which animals could breed. You shaped their evolution. Yes, Peter admitted. That is what domestication means. The Valorians looked disturbed. On their world, all species evolved naturally. The idea of one species deliberately changing another was deeply unsettling. Peter moved on, hoping the next section would be less controversial. He was wrong. As human societies grew larger, we developed cities. This required organization, laws, and government. Different cultures emerged with different languages, religions, and customs. He showed images of ancient civilizations: Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome, China, India. These cultures made incredible advances in art, science, philosophy, and engineering. They built monuments, wrote literature, and created beautiful works of art. The Valorians seemed more relaxed. Culture and art were good things, universal things. Then Peter made a mistake. He mentioned war. Of course, these civilizations also fought each other. Competition for resources, territory, and power led to conflicts. Fought? Xylith asked quietly. You mean they engaged in violence? Yes. War has been part of human history for thousands of years. Different groups would fight for control of land, water, trade routes, or simply for dominance. Groups of humans fighting other groups of humans. Xylith stood up, their blue glow dimming. You fight your own species? Peter realized he had stepped into dangerous territory. Yes. Throughout history, humans have had wars. But we have also had peace. We have formed alliances, created treaties, and worked together. How many humans have died in these wars? Xylith asked. Peter took a deep breath. This was going to be bad. It is hard to calculate. Over all of human history, possibly hundreds of millions. The number did not seem to register at first. The Valorians just stared at him. Hundreds of millions, Xylith repeated slowly, of your own species, killed by each other. Yes, but you have to understand the context. Resources were limited, people believed different things, conflicts arose. Peter pulled up a slide about World War II. He thought it was important to be honest about human history, even the dark parts. The deadliest war in human history was World War II. It lasted from 1939 to 1945. Approximately 70 to 85 million people died. One of the Valorian researchers made a choking sound. Another collapsed. Medical personnel rushed to help them. Xylith stood frozen, their translator working to process what they had just heard. 70 to 85 million in 6 years. Yes, Peter said quietly. The entire Valorian collective, Xylith said. All 70 species combined, numbers approximately 40 million individuals. You killed twice our entire civilization in a single war. The room was silent. Peter felt the weight of human history pressing down on him. He had studied these events academically, analyzing causes and effects, patterns and trends. But standing here, explaining them to aliens who had never known violence, made him see them differently. We are not proud of our wars, Peter said. We remember them so we do not repeat them. We learn from our mistakes. Mistakes, Xylith said. You call the deaths of millions mistakes. What else can we call them? We cannot change the past. We can only try to do better in the future. Peter continued his presentation, but the mood had changed. He talked about the Renaissance, the Age of Exploration, the Industrial Revolution. Each period of human advancement was shadowed by conflict. When he mentioned colonization, the Valorians recoiled. Humans had not just fought each other, they had conquered, enslaved, and exploited. But we learned, Peter insisted. We developed concepts of human rights. We abolished slavery. We created international laws. We built organizations dedicated to peace, like the United Nations. You needed to create organizations for peace? Xylith asked. Peace is not your natural state? No, Peter admitted. Cooperation and conflict both seem to be part of human nature. We are capable of both. He showed them images of human achievements, art, music, literature, architecture. He played recordings of symphonies and showed paintings from museums around the world. "We are not just warriors," Peter said. "We are also artists, philosophers, scientists, and dreamers. We have created beauty alongside destruction." Xylith watched a video of a human orchestra playing Beethoven. The music was complex, emotional, moving. It was hard to reconcile this with the species that had killed millions of its own kind. "I do not understand humans," Xylith finally said. "You are a contradiction. You create beauty and horror. You are capable of incredible kindness and terrible cruelty. How do you live with this duality?" Peter thought carefully before answering. "We struggle with it. Every day, every generation. We ask ourselves what it means to be human, what it means to be good. We do not always agree on the answers." "But you keep trying," Xylith observed. "Yes, we keep trying. We make progress, then we fall back. Then we try again. Human history is not a straight line of improvement. It is messy, complicated, and often painful." Peter showed them more recent history. The space race, the moon landing, scientific advances, medical breakthroughs. "We have also done amazing things," he said. "We eradicated diseases like smallpox. We developed technologies that connect the entire world. We sent probes to explore our solar system. We are constantly pushing the boundaries of what is possible." "Why?" asked one of the researchers. "Why do you always push? Why not be content with what you have?" Peter smiled. "Because we are human. We are curious. We see a mountain and want to climb it. We see a question and want to answer it. We see a challenge and want to overcome it. It is who we are." "Even when that curiosity leads to danger?" Xylith asked. "Especially then," Peter said. "Some of our greatest discoveries came from taking risks. Yes, sometimes those risks led to disaster, but sometimes they led to breakthroughs that changed everything." He pulled up an image of Earth from space, the famous blue marble photograph taken by Apollo 17. "This image changed how we see ourselves," Peter explained. "When we saw our planet from space, we realized how small and fragile it is, how we are all connected, how borders and divisions are artificial. It gave us perspective." The Valorians studied the image. Earth looked beautiful from space. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. It was hard to believe such a lovely planet was the Deathworld they had learned about. "You said humans are still learning," Xylith said. "Learning what?" "How to be better," Peter answered. "How to solve problems without violence. How to share resources fairly. How to live together despite our differences. We have not figured it out yet, but we are trying." "And if you never figure it out?" Xylith asked. "What then?" Peter was honest. "Then maybe we destroy ourselves. It is possible. We have the weapons to do it. Nuclear bombs, biological weapons, chemical agents. We could end human civilization if we wanted to." "But you choose not to," Xylith said. "We choose not to. Every day, every leader, every soldier, every citizen makes that choice, to find another way, to solve problems through talking instead of fighting." Xylith was quiet for a long time. Finally, they spoke. "You are the most dangerous species we have ever encountered, but you are also the most hopeful." "Hopeful?" Peter asked, surprised. "Yes. You know what you are capable of. You have seen the worst of yourselves, and yet you still choose to be better. That takes courage, strength, wisdom." 3 months had passed since the gate opened. 3 months of research, discussion, debate, and growing concern. The Valorian collective now faced the most important decision in their history. Close the gate and pretend they had never found Earth, or keep it open and accept humans into the galactic community. The High Council gathered on Valora Prime. Representatives from all 70 species sat in the Great Chamber. Xylith was there, having been promoted to Chief Researcher for Deathworld Studies, a new position created specifically for understanding Earth. Colonel Danny Foster represented humanity. He stood in the center of the chamber, his image projected through the gate via hologram. He wore his dress uniform, medals on his chest, posture straight and professional. The chamber was massive, designed to hold thousands. Today, it was full. This decision would affect everyone. The chief counselor, an elderly Valorian named Kethis, called the session to order. We gather to decide the fate of our relationship with the human species of planet Earth. Chief Researcher Xylith will present their findings. Then we will hear from the human representative. Finally, we will vote. Xylith stood and activated their presentation. Images of Earth filled the chamber, beautiful landscapes, terrifying predators, and everything in between. The planet designated Earth is a Class 5 death world, Xylith began. It is the most hostile habitable planet we have ever encountered. Extreme temperatures, dangerous wildlife, geological instability, high oxygen atmosphere, natural disasters occur regularly. The council members shifted uneasily. Some had heard these reports. Others were learning this for the first time. The dominant species, humans, evolved under these conditions. They are persistence hunters. Omnivores. They have strength, speed, and endurance far beyond our standards. They possess chemical systems that make them even more dangerous when threatened. Xylith pulled up footage of Lisa's physical tests. The council watched in silence as the human performed feats that would be impossible for any of their species. But physical danger is not our only concern, Xylith continued. Humans have a history of violence within their own species. They have fought wars that killed millions. They have developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Weapons that could destroy a planet. The concept was almost beyond comprehension. However, Xylith said, their tone changing, humans also possess qualities we have never encountered. They are resilient, adaptable, creative. They solve problems through innovation and determination. They have created art, music, and literature of extraordinary beauty. They have explored their solar system and developed advanced technology. Xylith paused, looking around the chamber. Most importantly, they choose peace. Despite their capacity for violence, despite their history, despite their nature as predators, they actively choose cooperation over conflict. Choice, Kethis said from their seat. You emphasize this word. Why? Because for the 70 species of our collective, peace comes naturally. We do not struggle against violent instincts. We do not have to overcome predatory urges. Peace is simply who we are. Xylith gestured to Danny's hologram. But humans must choose peace every single day. It does not come easily to them. Yet they do it anyway. That shows strength of character we cannot fully understand. The presentation ended. Kethis nodded to Danny. Colonel Foster, you may speak. Danny took a breath. He had prepared for this moment, but standing before representatives of 70 alien species was still intimidating. Members of the Valorian Collective, I will not lie to you. Everything Chief Researcher Xylith said about humans is true. We are dangerous. We evolved on a planet that forced us to become strong or die. We have a history of violence that shames us. He paused, making eye contact with as many council members as possible. But that same harsh environment taught us valuable lessons. We learned resilience. We learned to adapt to impossible situations. We learned to solve problems that should have been unsolvable. Danny pulled up his own presentation. Images of human achievements appeared. The International Space Station, medical advances, renewable energy technology, disaster relief efforts. Your collective faces challenges, Danny said. Xylith has shared some of them with us. You struggle to colonize planets with high radiation. Your ships cannot withstand certain atmospheric conditions. Your medical technology has limits when dealing with aggressive pathogens. He smiled slightly. These are all problems humans have experience with. Earth has radiation. Our atmosphere is harsh. We have fought diseases for thousands of years. We know how to survive in hostile environments because we do it every day. A council member stood. It was a species Danny had not seen before, tall and crystalline. You offer your services as warriors, as protectors. But what do you gain from this? Knowledge, Danny answered immediately. Your collective has achieved something humanity dreams of. Peace across multiple species. You have shared technology, culture, and resources for thousands of years without major conflict. That is incredible. You want us to teach you peace, Kethis observed. Yes. We want to learn from you. We want to understand how you built such a successful civilization. We want to be better than we have been. Another council member spoke, this one resembling a large insect. But if we teach you, if we share our knowledge, will you not become even more dangerous? Danny considered the question carefully. Possibly. Knowledge can be used for good or evil. But I believe that understanding each other, learning from each other, will make both our species better. You can teach us about peaceful cooperation. We can teach you about survival and resilience. A third council member stood. What guarantee do we have that humans will not use their strength against us? You could conquer us easily. The blunt statement hung in the air. Danny did not deny it. You are right. We probably could. Physically, we are stronger. Our capacity for violence is greater. But here is the thing you need to understand about humanity. He leaned forward slightly. We have already faced the choice of conquest versus cooperation on our own planet. We had the weapons. We had the power. We could have let one nation dominate all others. But we chose differently. We created the United Nations. We established international laws. We decided that cooperation served us better than conflict. That choice is not easy, Danny continued. It requires constant work, constant negotiation, constant effort. But we make that choice because we learn that the alternative leads to destruction. Kethis spoke again. You speak well, Colonel Foster, but words are easy. Actions are what matter. You are right, Danny agreed. So let me propose something. A trial period, 1 year. We establish cultural exchanges. Human scientists work with Valorian researchers on agreed projects. We share information freely. At the end of the year, you vote again. If you decide we are too dangerous, we close the gate. No argument, no conflict, we part ways peacefully. And if we vote to continue the relationship, Kethis asked, then we negotiate a formal treaty. We establish rules and boundaries. We build a partnership based on mutual respect and benefit. The council members discussed among themselves. Danny could not hear what they were saying, but he could see the debate was intense. Finally, Kethis called for order. We will vote. Those in favor of closing the gate immediately indicate now. About a third of the chamber lit up with affirmative signals. Those in favor of the trial period proposed by Colonel Foster indicate now. More lights appeared. Danny counted silently. It was close. Kethis tallied the votes. The motion for a 1-year trial period passes by a margin of 57% to 43%. The gate will remain open. Danny felt relief wash over him. Not a strong mandate, but enough. However, Kethis continued, there will be conditions. No weapons may pass through the gate from either side. All exchanges must be approved by both governments. Any sign of aggression or deception will result in immediate closure of the gate. Understood, Danny said. We accept these terms. Xylith approached the hologram projector. Colonel Foster, I must ask, why do you want this so badly? You could close the gate and return to your lives. Why reach out to us? Danny smiled. Because humans have always looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone. Now we know we are not. We have found neighbors in the universe, and we would rather have neighbors than be isolated. Even if those neighbors fear you? Xylith asked. Especially then. Danny said. Fear comes from misunderstanding. The more we learn about each other, the less fear there will be. We hope. The session ended. Preparations began immediately for the cultural exchange program. Human scientists were selected. Valorian students volunteered. Trade negotiations started. Military liaisons established communication protocols. Jake Morrison, the park ranger who had started everything, was there when the first group of Valorian students arrived on Earth. They wore environmental suits rated for extreme conditions, which made him smile. A young Valorian named Keth approached him nervously. Ranger Morrison, is it safe here? Jake looked around at the Colorado landscape. Mountains in the distance, trees swaying in the breeze, birds singing. To him it was peaceful, beautiful, home. Safe enough, he said. Just follow the rules. Stay on the trails. Do not approach wildlife. Keep your emergency beacon active. You will be fine. What about predators? Keth asked. They are out there, Jake admitted, but they usually avoid people. Just be aware of your surroundings and you will be okay. Keth looked terrified and excited at the same time. This is really happening. We are on a death world. Jake laughed. We call it Earth. Come on, I will show you around. There is a stream about a mile from here with some excellent views. And if we are lucky, we might see some deer. Deer are the herbivores, correct? Keth asked, consulting their datapad. Not dangerous? Mostly harmless, Jake confirmed. Though bucks can be aggressive during mating season, we will keep our distance. As they walked, Jake pointed out various plants and animals. He explained the ecosystem, how everything fit together, predators and prey, producers and consumers. The circle of life. Keth listened intently, asking questions. Slowly, the fear began to fade. Not completely, but enough. Ranger Morrison, Keth said after a while, I think I am beginning to understand something. What is that? Your planet is dangerous, but it is also beautiful. The danger and the beauty are connected. One creates the other. Jake nodded. Yeah. Earth is harsh, but that harshness creates incredible diversity. Life finds a way to adapt, to survive, to thrive. It is amazing when you really think about it. They reached the stream. Water flowed clear and cold over smooth rocks. Trees lined the banks. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating patterns on the ground. Keth removed their helmet, breathing Earth's air for the first time. It was rich, almost overwhelming. They could smell the pine trees, the water, the earth itself. It is so much oxygen, Keth said, slightly dizzy. You get used to it, Jake said. Just take it slow. A deer appeared on the other side of the stream. It paused, saw them, and froze. Its large eyes watched them carefully. Keth stared in wonder. This was a real Earth animal, not a video or a photo. Real. The deer decided they were not a threat and went back to drinking from the stream. It is beautiful, Keth whispered. Yeah, Jake agreed. It is. They stood there in silence, human and alien, watching the deer drink. In that moment, the fear and strangeness faded. They were just two beings appreciating the beauty of nature. Maybe, Jake thought, this would work out after all. Maybe humans and Valorians could learn from each other. Maybe the galaxy was big enough for Deathworld survivors and peaceful explorers to coexist. Back on Valora Prime, Xylith watched the video feed from Keth's helmet camera. They saw the deer. They saw Jake's calm demeanor. They saw Keth's wonder. What do you think? Kethis asked, standing beside them. I think, Xylith said slowly, that we made the right choice. Humans are dangerous, but they are also capable of kindness. They understand beauty. They appreciate life, even as they struggle against their own nature. You believe they will honor the agreement? Kethis asked. Yes, because they choose to, and that choice, that constant choice to be better than their instincts tell them to be, is what makes them remarkable. Kethis nodded. Then let us hope this trial period goes well. The galaxy is about to change. It already has, Xylith said. The moment we opened that gate, everything changed. Now we just have to see what comes next. 1 year later, the vote was not even close. The Valorian Collective voted 92% in favor of establishing permanent relations with humanity. The 8% who voted against were respected, their concerns noted, but the majority had made their decision. Humans were no longer alone in the universe, and the Valorians were no longer sheltered from the reality of what life could be. Together, they stepped into an uncertain future. Two species from completely different worlds, choosing to learn from each other. The Valorians would never stop being a little afraid of what humans were capable of. But they would also never stop being amazed by what humans chose to do instead. And humanity would never stop learning from the peaceful civilization that had welcomed them despite their fears. The gate remained open, a bridge between worlds, a symbol of hope, and perhaps, just perhaps, the beginning of something extraordinary. Xylith looked at the other Valorians. We have lived in peace for thousands of years, but it was easy for us. We had no predators, no wars, no conflicts. We never had to choose peace. It was just our nature. But you, Xylith continued, looking at Peter, you have to choose it. Despite your instincts, despite your history, despite how easy it would be to fall back into violence, you choose peace. That is remarkable. Peter felt something unexpected. Pride, mixed with sadness. Pride in humanity's progress. Sadness for all the pain it took to get here. We are still learning, he said quietly. We still make mistakes. We still have conflicts. But we are trying to be better than we were. That is all anyone can do, Xylith said. Try to be better. The presentation ended. The Valorians filed out quietly, their minds full of new and disturbing information about humanity. But they also left with something else. Understanding. These humans were not monsters. They were people, complex and flawed, trying their best to overcome their own nature. And maybe, Xylith thought, that was the most human thing of all. Hope that maybe, just maybe, humans can teach us something valuable. Not how to fight. We never want to learn that. But how to be strong, how to survive, how to face impossible challenges and overcome them. Xylith stood up and offered their hand in the human gesture of respect. Lisa shook it gently, very aware of her superior strength. Welcome to the galaxy, Lieutenant Commander Grant. I think your species is going to change everything. Lisa smiled. Let us hope we change it for the better. But as she left the testing facility, she could not shake the feeling that the Valorians had seen something in humanity that most humans did not see in themselves. They had looked at her and seen a predator, a survivor, a weapon choosing to be peaceful. And maybe, she thought, they were right. I suppose, from your perspective, Earth does seem dangerous, Helen admitted. But to us, it is just home. We do not know any other way to live. That was what truly frightened the Valorians. These humans had no idea how terrifying they were. They had grown up on a death world, surrounded by predators and disasters, and they thought it was normal. What kind of species evolved in such conditions? What kind of creatures could thrive in a place where everything was trying to kill them? The answer, Xylith realized, was standing right in front of them. Humans. Friendly, curious, intelligent humans who smiled and laughed and acted like their nightmare planet was perfectly ordinary, and that was more terrifying than any shark or crocodile could ever be. Xylith had reached a troubling conclusion. This planet, this Earth, was unlike anything in the Valorian database. It was harsh, it was dangerous, it was, by their standards, a death world. And the creatures who lived here, these humans, had not just survived, they had thrived. They had built a civilization, they had developed technology, They had even developed concepts like peace and diplomacy, despite living in what the Valorians could only describe as a nightmare environment. As Jake watched the two groups begin formal introductions, he had no idea that the Valorians were terrified. To him, Earth was just home. Normal. Safe enough if you knew what you were doing. But to the Valorians, Earth was a horror show. And humanity was something far more frightening than they had ever imagined encountering among the stars.